The universe is always communicating to us, but the question is, are you paying attention? You see, the universe is continually giving us messages that we can actually be open to receive, but the thing is that sometimes we don't actually pay attention. We don't stay conscious. Sometimes we get lost in our thoughts and our lower vibrational states, and we can forget that the universe is continually communicating to us. Now, in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 10 signs that the universe is trying to tell you something. Because it always is. It always is trying to tell you something. But the question is, are you conscious of it? So if you're new to this channel, what I want you to do is to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, because I do post a new video every single day. Also, if you want to work with me one-on-one to find clarity in your life purpose and what it is that you truly want to be doing on this planet at this time, hit the link that's in the description box of this video to apply for a free consultation. Now, the first sign that the universe is trying to tell you something is that people are talking about your desires. Have you ever had it where you're going through your life and then people are just continually talking about that thing that you're trying to manifest? People just keep talking about it. They keep talking about that thing that you're trying to manifest. You just keep noticing that the people around you, your family, your friends, the people all around you in your life, they keep talking about your manifestation. They keep talking about that thing that you're trying to manifest. If you're noticing that people everywhere are talking about your manifestation, your desire, what it is that you truly want. Maybe you're a little bit worried. Maybe you don't know if the manifestation's coming, and then you have all these people talking about it. The universe is trying to tell you that your manifestation is actually coming. Okay, it's actually coming, and it's on the way right now. You just have to realize that the universe is trying to tell you that. It's trying to tell you that. It's trying to say, hey, it's all good. The manifestation is coming. You've got nothing to worry about. Right? The fear is just fear, but behind all that fear, the bigger picture, the universe knows, hey, the manifestation is actually coming, okay, despite the fears. So don't worry about it. If people are talking about your desire, that's a huge sign that your manifestation is actually coming. It's a huge sign that your manifestation is 100% coming. Now, the second sign that the universe is trying to tell you something is that you're seeing repeating numbers everywhere that you go. If you're seeing repeating numbers everywhere that you go on a consistent basis, repeating numbers on license plates, you're seeing repeating numbers on YouTube videos, you're seeing repeating numbers on your phone, you're seeing repeating numbers everywhere that you go, that's a huge sign the universe is trying to tell you something. Now, what exactly is it trying to tell you? Well, that's for you to decide, because you have to realize that the universe is continually communicating to us, and we receive individual specific messages to, only to us. It's an individual subjective thing. We live in an individual subjective reality. Okay, the collective is a collection of individuals, and you have to realize that we live in a subjective reality, so you create your reality. So if you see 777, that means something for you. It's the feeling that you feel when you see that number, when you see that sign. That is a huge sign that the universe is trying to tell you something. Now, here's the big picture as well. Here's the big thing, is that if you're seeing a collection of synchronicities all in one day, where your ego is absolutely shocked. You're absolutely shocked that you're seeing synchronicity all at once, all together in one day. You're seeing so many, you're meeting people, you're seeing numbers everywhere. It's not just like one repeating number, it's like a collection of repeating numbers. The universe is trying to tell you something. It's trying to tell you that something big is coming. It's trying to tell you that something big is coming your way, your manifestation's on the way. You are in perfect alignment with your desire. Okay, you are in perfect alignment with your desire. You have to realize that when you're in perfect alignment with your desire, you see a collection of repeating numbers. You see a collection of synchronicities all happening together at once. Okay, that's completely normal. Now, it might not seem normal to the ego. The ego might be flabbergasted. Haven't used that word in a while. It might be completely shocked that all these synchronicities come. It's like, oh my God, this is crazy. This is too much for my ego to handle. I get it. It's gonna normalize. Okay, it's a normal part of the journey. You have to realize that if you're seeing repeating numbers though on a consistent basis, you are 100% manifesting a lot of things, and the universe is trying to tell you something. Now, what it's telling you, be conscious. Pay attention to what you were thinking when you saw those numbers. Pay attention to what you were feeling when you saw those numbers. This is a connection you have with the divine. This is your personal message. I can't tell you what the message is, but I can tell you that the universe is trying to send you a message. That's what I can say 100%, is that the universe is continually always trying to send you messages, and in this case it's through repeating numbers. Now, the third sign that the universe is trying to tell you something is that you are seeing lessons flowing through you while you're actually talking to people. Here's what I've noticed is that sometimes I get into the role of a teacher, right? Sometimes I record videos, sometimes I get into calls with clients, and sometimes I realize that as I'm actually teaching, as I'm in a call, sometimes I learn powerful lessons while I'm in the midst of recording a video. Sometimes while I'm in the midst of talking to a person. This might sound a little bit more esoteric, might create a little bit more resistance in some people, but you got to realize this is what I've noticed. This is the honest truth, is that sometimes while I'm in the role of teaching, I have lessons flowing through me sometimes. And if you're starting to notice that as you are actually talking to people, maybe you're giving them advice on something that happened in their life. Maybe you're giving them advice on something that they're going through, and then you start to realize that you're actually kind of helping yourself in some weird way, where you're actually, it's like you're taking your own advice while you're giving it. It's like you're taking your own advice while you're giving it. If that's what's happening to you, if you have lessons flowing through you while you're talking to people, if you have lessons flowing through you while you're talking to people, while you're doing your craft, maybe your art, maybe something that you love to do, if you have lessons flowing through you, you're 100%, the universe is communicating to you. You're 100% in divine connection with the universe. It's trying to tell you something. It's trying to communicate to you. It's trying to tell you something powerful. All you have to do is pay attention. Be very conscious of what you say. You might be shocked to realize that something that you tell somebody else is something that you needed to hear. If you realize that the divine is flowing through you, the universe is trying to tell you something. If you realize that the divine is flowing through you while you talk to people, the universe is trying to tell you something, okay? Very, very powerful stuff. Now, the fourth sign that the universe is trying to tell you something is that something feels off. You see, the universe is not always telling us positive messages. Sometimes it's giving us a little feeling or an intuition of something else. You see, this video is not about a specific message. It's just that these signs are telling you that the universe is trying to give you a message. And sometimes something feels off, right? Something doesn't feel right. If something doesn't feel right in your body, if something feels like it's giving you a low vibration, it's not like you have this logical way to explain it. You don't have a logical way to explain it, but you feel like something's off. The universe is trying to tell you something, okay? Trust your intuition. And if something feels off, then it probably is off, okay? If you feel like somebody's at a low vibration, probably they are. Your intuition usually doesn't lie to you. Now, of course, it's important to balance the logical mind. It's important to balance the logic part of who you are as well, but understand that if something feels off, the universe is trying to tell you, trust your intuition. The universe is trying to tell you to trust in that feeling. Trust that something feels off. If it feels off, then believe in that. Believe in that. Now, here's the thing, is that sometimes don't always believe in your feelings. Now you're thinking, what? Like, don't believe in your feelings. You just said to trust in that. Well, it's important to understand that if something feels off, you want to be the conscious observer of that feeling. Okay, that's huge. That's critical, because sometimes your feelings can lie to you. But at the same time, you want to be the awareness of that feeling, because think about it like this. If you feel like you shouldn't go to the gym, but you want to maintain some kind of schedule, you want to be consistent. Maybe that's your ego just acting up. But here's the thing, when you're very, very conscious, when you're very present to the moment, you know if it's truly something that feels off. You know. Because you got to realize sometimes it's important to be logical, to be like, okay, this is just my ego acting up. This is all fear. This is anxiety. This is worry. I'm just going to push through and go to the gym. That's okay. Don't trust your feelings in that case. Keep grinding, keep going to the gym. But sometimes, if you're very conscious, if you're very present and something feels off, trust in that feeling. Okay, trust in that. The universe is trying to, if something feels really, really off, maybe your logical mind thinks that it should be all good, don't worry about it. Logically, this makes sense, but it doesn't feel right. Don't listen to the logical mind. Trust. If something feels very off, trust in that. The universe is trying to tell you to listen to your intuition and listen to what you feel in that moment. It's trying to tell you that. If you feel like a really, really big feeling of like this negativity in your stomach or some fear, believe in that feeling. Trust in that feeling. I mean, don't believe in the feeling in the sense that you fall into that blindly. I'm saying believe in it in the sense where you trust in it. You trust in yourself. Don't actually believe in the feeling, but trust that your intuition is telling you to not go in that direction. Okay, the universe is trying to tell you to trust in yourself and trust in your intuition. If something feels off, then it is. The fifth sign that the universe is trying to tell you something is that you feel lots and lots of fear. You feel lots and lots of fear. If you feel lots of fear, and there's a lot of fear coming up around following some kind of a passion, the universe is trying to tell you, hey, it's okay. Fear is a part of the process. What I found with a lot of my clients and a lot of people that are getting to the next level in their journey is that when you're about to level up, fear comes up. Okay, once again, I made another rhyme. I keep doing this in a lot of my videos. When you're about to level up, fear comes up as well. I don't know if that's a rhyme. I matched the same word with the same word. You got to realize that fear is going to come up when you're getting to the next level. Okay, it's completely normal. We forget that sometimes. When you're following the path of love, when you're following the path of consciousness, when you're following the path of who you really are, what happens is that fear is going to try to come up and pull you back into the fear. It's completely normal. If you're choosing to commit to the path of love, if you're committing to the path of love, of course, the ego is going to try to pull you back. Of course, think about that. Think about how, of course, this is a non-logical thing, but just really think about this. Think about this. If you're committing to the path of love, fear has to come up. It has to. There's no other way. The fear has to come up. So you got to remember that if you're trying to step up into that new identity, if you're trying to step up, fear's coming up. The universe is trying to tell you you're about to shift to the next level of consciousness. You're about to shift and have a massive breakthrough in your life. If fear's coming up right now, that's okay. It's 100% okay. Fear is normal. I experienced a lot of fear when I started my YouTube channel. I experienced a lot of fear when I started my coaching business. I experienced some fear when I dropped out of school. But the thing is that I chose the path of love despite all those fears that I feel. I still fear sometimes as well. That's part of the journey. But the key is to observe that fear and choose the path of love instead. What is the path of love? That sounds cliche. It just means the path where you don't feel fear. Where what would you do if you were completely aligned with the present moment and you felt absolutely no fear? If you were completely connected to the divine, if you were 100% in a flow state, if you're completely connected with your higher self, what would you do? What would you do if you knew you were protected by the universe? What would you do if you had no fears at all? What would you do if you were completely connected to who you are? That's what the universe is trying to tell you. That fear is normal and that you just need to follow the path of love. I know it sounds cliche, I get it. I know how that sounds, but it is the case. Like, it sounds cliche when you say follow the path of love, but I always try to break it down in a very practical way. The path of love is just the path of presence. That's the path of love. The path of connection to who you really are. That is the path of love. Now, if fear comes up while you're following some path, the universe is trying to tell you that's your old identity trying to keep you stuck. That's all it is. And it's completely normal. I want to normalize the fear for you. If you feel fear, of course, look at what's happening on the planet right now. The fear is all coming to the surface, but that's okay. All you have to do, it's so simple. Observe it and allow it and continue on the path of love. It's that simple. It's really that simple. It's not much more complicated than that. But when you're in the fear, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm in the fear right now. This is so scary. I don't know. This is so serious. No, it's not serious. The ego's trying to make it serious and pull you into the old unconscious reality that you've been living in. Do not allow that to happen. See the ego for what it is. See the truth for what it is. Maybe those fears are logical, but are they true? Are they really true at the core? Or are they constructs? Are they concepts created by the mind and the ego? You have to understand that if fear is coming up, the universe is trying to tell you you're about to shift to the next level. That means that you're shifting to a higher level of consciousness. You're about to break through in your business. You're about to make more money. You're about to attract that person in your life. Fear comes up when we're about to shift to the next level. Be okay in the uncertainty, and you'll notice that you shift to a higher level of consciousness and also get to breakthroughs in pretty much every area of your life. Now, the sixth sign, contrary to what I just shared with you, is that you feel no fear at all. If you feel no fear at all, if you're completely connected to the moment, if you have a clear connection to the divine, you have a 100% connection to the present moment. Maybe you feel some fear a little bit, but at the same time, you're fearless even with that fear. You're completely fearless. You have a complete connection to the present moment. You have a complete trust in the universe. You have a complete connection to who you are. The universe is trying to tell you you're doing the right thing. That's what the energy you want to follow. What I found in my life is that what you need to do, not what you need to do, but my invitation to you based on my experience, is that the best possible life that exists for you is to follow the path of no fear. If you're feeling no fear, if you're following the path of no fear, even despite what people tell you, you're being fearless, you're being selfless, you're being of service to the world. If you're following the path of no fear, then what's happening is that you are in perfect alignment with who you are. You're going to manifest everything you desire. Literally, if you're following the path of no fear, that is the path of your highest alignment. That is the path of your highest soul purpose, is to be fearless. When you're 100% fearless, you are in alignment with your soul's purpose. When you're 100% fearless, you're in alignment with who you really are, because who you really are has no fear. Okay? Who you really are has no fear. The ego creates the fear because the ego is separation. It's this me, little tiny, this entity that's separated from the oneness. No, you're connected to the oneness. What would you do if you had no fear? And if you're doing that, if you're living in that way, universe is trying to tell you, keep following that energy. That's the opposite of the energy that you feel when you're in fear. It's the complete opposite. If you feel fear while you're following the path of no fear, continue to follow the path of no fear. You see what I'm saying? It's like you're following the path of no fear and it's like, oh my gosh, maybe I shouldn't follow the path of no fear. That's the fear coming back through the back door trying to stop you. So it's like, I'll give you an example of this. Over a year ago at this point, wow, it's been a long time. A year ago at this point, I had this thought where it said drop out of school. And I had this intuitive feeling in my body. It's like, hey, drop out of school completely fearless, the path of no fear. I felt it in my soul. I felt it in my being. Drop out of school. Now, guess what happened shortly after I had that intuitive thought? And that came from an energy of no fear. My thoughts started to think like, oh, can you really do this? Is this really your path? is this really meant for you? It's the fear trying to come back that tells you to not follow the path of no fear. Because the path of no fear has no fear until the fear comes back in and tells you why the fear is what you should do instead. You see, what my mentor taught me is that we can live into the path of our highest vision or live into the fear of that vision not working out. And for a long time, I lived in the path of the fear not working out. So I stayed in school doing something that was clearly, completely out of alignment for me, but I convinced myself that it was because I was scared that the path of no fear wasn't gonna work out. Do you see how crazy that is? The ego is scared of the path of no fear, but your higher self does not fear anything. It's completely fearless. It might even seem illogical to the outside world. Now, I'm not telling you to be completely illogical. Use your mind, but don't be consumed by the mind. Most people are consumed by the mind. If you're following the path of no fear, the universe is trying to tell you, keep following that path. That's the path that will lead you to your highest alignment. You can feel the energy of that. You know that's the path for you. But then when all those lower vibrational energies start to come in, that's the path you don't want to follow. You want to observe that and ask yourself, what would I do if I didn't feel those lower vibrational energies? Follow that energy. Follow the energy of no fear. If you're following the energy of no fear, the universe is trying to tell you you are in perfect alignment with your soul's mission. You could be recording videos like me. You could be an artist. We as empaths, as light workers, as whatever label that the ego wants to attach to, you got to realize that we are called to follow the path of no fear. That's what's happening on the planet right now. People are becoming okay with uncertainty. People are becoming okay with being in alignment with no fear. And the fear will try to creep back up and stop you. The fear will try, but your higher self knows to follow the path of no fear. Follow that energy. You can know the difference. When you start to see that flickering, it's okay, here's the fear, here's the higher self. It's clear. Follow the path of love. Once I had the distinction in my experience between following fear and following love, I always follow love now. No matter what. No matter how, I'm at a point in my life where it's like, what's the alternative? Go back and live into the old unconscious patterns? Is that the alternative? I would never do that because this moment is sacred. Okay, there's a sacredness to each moment, right? Every moment is sacred. Now, if you're scared to follow the path of no fear, understand that's your ego. That's your ego that's scared. Your higher self is not scared, okay? Now, if you're following the path of no fear, you've gotten glimpses of that. If you've been in an energy of no fear before, the universe is trying to tell you to follow that energy, okay? Now, the seventh sign that the universe is trying to tell you something is that you're meeting people synchronistically, okay? Thinking back to all the moments in my life where I had all these synchronicities with people, it's almost like the universe was preparing me for like this massive breakthrough that was going to happen in my business life, in my relationships and everything. It's like I started to meet people synchronistically. I was connecting deeply to myself at such a deeper level that I've never connected to before, that I started to meet people synchronistically. The universe was showing me, hey, everything is connected. Okay, everything is connected. You want to understand that everything is connected. If you're meeting people synchronistically, the universe is showing you you're in perfect alignment. Those people are going to serve you. Those people are going to help you. The people that you meet come into your life for a reason. That's what I believe. I believe that people come into our life for a reason and that there are no coincidences. And when I started to realize that in meeting people synchronistically, that truth started to embody in my soul at a deeper level, where I started to really trust the universe. The universe is trying to tell you, hey, trust the divine plan. I know it sounds so esoteric and so cliche, but I believe that when I say divine plan, I think that things happen for a reason. Now, we have free will, but I think that in some way, our soul came here to experience certain things and to actually follow that path. And it might seem kind of weird to the ego, but then the more that you step into that high energy, it's almost like it becomes more natural to be like, okay, I'm meeting these people synchronistically now. This is my life. And what you're going to find is that when you start to meet people synchronistically, the ego might be shocked, it might resist that truth. and be like, nope, this is not happening by accident. I mean, this is not happening on purpose. It's just a coincidence. But then you start to experience more synchronicities, and you start to realize that everything happens for a reason. Even though it might sound kind of weird, it might sound kind of cliche. It's like, oh, everything happens for a reason. No, it's like you actually start to meet people synchronistically. When I started to meet people synchronistically, my ego was completely shocked, and absolutely shocked, that I was actually meeting people synchronistically, to the point where it's almost like the barriers of my mind had to like be peeled back, and I had to open myself up to the fact that, we're not alone in this, and there's something bigger going on here, right? I know it sounds a little bit esoteric and a little bit weird, but it's almost like if you're meeting people synchronistically, the universe is trying to tell you, hey, everything happens for a reason. So you might be going your spiritual awakening process. Maybe you start meeting people that are also into the same content as you. Maybe you start to meet people that are also doing those same things as you. Maybe you were so worried for the longest time that, people aren't on this awakening path like me. You were so worried, and then you're starting to realize, no, actually, I'm not alone in this. I'm meeting the exact people that I have to meet at the exact right time. Like the way I met my mentor was completely synchronistic. The way that I met people that are very important to me right now in my life, that are kind of guiding me on my path and helping me to get where I want to be, was completely based on synchronicity. It's like I set the intention that I wanted to manifest certain people, and then I synchronistically was like guided towards these people. And all you have to do is trust your intuition. If you're meeting people synchronistically, that's a huge sign. Don't doubt that. Do not doubt that. Like if you're doubting that, don't. It's a huge sign that the universe is telling you, hey, we got your back, right? Like everything happens for a reason. You're being completely guided towards the path that you're meant to follow. And the right people are coming into your life at the right time. Remember that. The right people are coming into your life at the right time. Just remember that if you're meeting people synchronistically, that is a huge sign that the universe is trying to tell you something. Now, what I think is that the universe is telling you that everything happens for a reason, that the universe is in alignment for you, but it could be your own message. Once again, we receive individual messages personally for us. So be aware of that, right? I'm trying to decipher these messages for you, but remember, all these things could be your own personal message. You have to be conscious enough and pay attention to realize that message is for you, right? We have our own individual experience in this world, and when you start to awaken, things become much more magical. Now, the eighth sign that the universe is trying to tell you something is that you're starting to realize that following your heart is the only way. If you're starting to realize that following your heart is the only way, and like, what's the alternative? You're like, what's the alternative? Like, what else would I do other than follow my heart? Like, follow the path of anxieties and fears? If you're starting to align with the path of love, you're starting to realize that love is everything, and that you're following the path of your heart more. If you're realizing that following the path of your heart is the only way, what's the alternative? Like, you're thinking like seriously, like, what's the alternative at this point? If you're following the path of your heart and you realize that is the only way, the universe is trying to tell you a big message, that something big is coming your way. Because when I realized about 10 months ago that I do not want to waste time anymore doing something that I hate, right? I was in software, I hated it. I tried to convince myself why I enjoyed that program. I hated it, okay? I absolutely hated it. I hated it 100%. And I tried to tell myself that I enjoyed it when I absolutely hated it 100%. And then I started to realize that what's the alternative to following my heart? To be in some path that I don't enjoy? To be in a path that I do not enjoy? To be in a 9-to-5 job that I don't like? To be doing something for other people because it's the right thing to do? What is the right thing to do? If you're realizing that you want to make your own decisions and you don't want to follow the path of social conditioning, if you realize that you want to make your own decisions and not follow the path of social conditioning, the universe is trying to tell you something big is coming. Because the people that follow their heart manifest the greatest things in life. But you have to have courage for that. Some people don't want to manifest the greatest things in life. They do, but part of them does not. And that's, of course, the ego. If you're realizing that following the path of your heart is the only way, what's the alternative? Something big is coming your way. Universe is trying to tell you something, that something big is coming. Now, you can decipher that message yourself. I'm just going to tell you right away, personally, what happened to me. Check out the very first video on this channel, okay? I realized that I hated what I was doing. It's a very different energy. If you check out the very first videos on my channel, it's a completely different energy that I was in. And I literally had the insight that following my heart is the key. I know it sounds cliche. It's like literally I realized that I can't follow the path of the ego anymore. It's like I couldn't, no matter how. Like it was, this is what I call the pain threshold. You become so conscious that you realize, like, what else am I gonna do other than follow my heart? Like the anxieties and the fears are gonna creep up. They're gonna try to come back in, but there comes a point where you're just like come on, man. Like I can't follow that. I can't follow the path of fear. Like it becomes unacceptable. It becomes unacceptable that you follow the path of fear. If you realize that it's unacceptable to follow the path of fear, at least for you in your life, anybody else can follow the life that they want to live, but at least personally for you, if you're realizing that following your heart is the only way, you're gonna manifest something big in your life very soon. And I'm only speaking from experience. And that's how it works. The people that follow their hearts, that have the courage and the bravery and the acceptance of the fear to follow the path of love. It's not easy to follow the path of love, but what's the alternative? The path of fear. And if you don't want to do that, something big's coming your way. Now, the 9th sign that you are actually getting a message from the universe is that things feel magical, okay? If things feel magical to you, if things feel not so solid, if things feel a little bit more magical to you, maybe the ego comes back up sometimes, totally normal, but like overall, you're starting to shift into this reality where things feel not as dense as they used to. It's like there's a lightness to reality. Maybe the ego comes back up occasionally, that's okay, but you're realizing that things are becoming much more magical, more synchronicity, more lightness. There's a deeper trust in the universe. Things feel just more magical. It's almost like you genuinely start to believe that like you can manifest anything, that there are no limitations. And like, yes, we're limited to some degree in this human form, but you're peeling back the layers of those limitations to such a high degree. You're going so deep into your awakening that you start to realize that everything's magical. You feel that things are more magical. That's a big sign the universe is trying to tell you something. Universe is trying to tell you something, and you got to watch out for that, because universe is trying to say, hey, you're about to shift to an entirely new reality that's based more on truth and love and consciousness. Okay? You got to realize that the universe is trying to guide you on a path, and the ego is only going to hold on for as long as it needs to. And when it realizes it doesn't need to, then you're going to let that go. You got to realize it's completely normal to flicker back and forth between the ego and consciousness and the higher path that you're meant to follow. But you don't have to believe in those fears. You don't have to believe in those fears. Those fears can come up, but you don't have to believe in them. And the moment that you stop believing in those fears and you trust, that's when things become much more magical. That's when reality starts to become way more magical, and you have this deep knowing and trust that all is well. It's a feeling of magic. It's a feeling of sacredness in the moment. It's a feeling that each moment is sacred, and that there's no time to waste doing things that we hate. There's no time to waste doing things that we hate. Align with that feeling of magic. Align with that light energy, and you'll manifest everything that you want. Okay? Align with that high energy, and you will manifest everything that you want. Believe me. Believe me. It might have to be a belief right now. Take my word for it. Follow that light energy, and you will manifest everything that you desire. Now, the last thing, the 10th sign that you are receiving signs from the universe, is that you have a deep trust and knowing that all is well. You might feel fear in your body. You might be scared sometimes. You might be thinking everything's uncertain. Look at what's happening on the planet right now. People are in fear. People are in uncertainty. But even despite that uncertainty, you have a deep knowing that all is well. That all is well. You have that connection to who you are beyond, that transcends those fears. You have a deep trust in knowing that all is well. It's almost like you trust the divine. You trust the connection to who you really are. You trust the connection to your higher self, to God, to the universe, whatever label you want to use that the ego wants. You have a deep knowing that all is well. Whatever resonates with you, whatever you connect with. But the label doesn't matter. It's the connection that matters. If you have a deep knowing that all is well despite everything that's happening in the world right now, despite things that are falling apart in your life, despite things that are happening right now on the planet, despite all these things that you're probably letting go of as you go deeper on your journey, but you know all is well. Like I dropped out of school, I had to let go of relationships, I had to take courage and step into my path that I wanted to follow. But on the outside, when I explain my story, it almost sounds like, oh yeah, Francis is doing all these crazy things. But to be honest with you, I always have a deep knowing that all is well. When I connect deeply to the present moment, right? I always have a deep knowing that all is well. And it's about that connection to the present moment that gives you that. And if you have a deep knowing and trust in the universe, in your guides, but whatever you connect with, you just trust that you are well, that you're being guided, that you're being supported, that everything is okay, even with all the stuff that's happening. You see, you can look at that fear and just observe it. You can just observe the fear. It's okay. It's okay to feel the fears. Okay? It's okay to feel the fears. If you feel the fears, it's okay. You have a deep trust in knowing that it's all well despite those fears. That's a huge sign the universe is telling you that you're on the right path. Okay, you're on the right path. Everything's okay. You got to realize that feeling negative emotions is part of the path. We forget that sometimes. But even despite those negative emotions, you know all is well. Okay? The collective needs to realize that. The collective is waking up to that right now. That's what's happening. Is people are waking up to the fact that all is well and that there's nothing else to do but to accept and trust that there's a peace beyond the fear. There's a peace beyond the fear that you can only access when you connect deeply to the present moment. Now, the key here that I want to leave you with to end off this video is to trust in the unknown. If you're beginning to trust more in the unknown, the universe is trying to tell you you're on the right path. You're manifesting everything that you want. Okay? Trust in the unknown. When you trust in the unknown, you are in alignment with manifesting everything that you want. Miracles happen in the unknown. Okay, remember that. Miracles happen in the unknown. The unknown might be scary sometimes. The unknown might not be something that we want to experience. But your higher self actually does. It's the ego that's scared of the unknown. The ego wants to stay in the patterns, in the structures, in the fear, in the things that, there's a structure. It's like, this is the way that we've been doing things, so this is how we have to keep doing it. No. Trust in the unknown. That's what your higher self knows. And if you're trusting in the unknown, if you know that all is well in uncertainty, you can trust in the non-logical part of your being. That is a sign that the universe is trying to tell you something, that you are manifesting everything that you want. You are in perfect alignment, because being in alignment means being uncertain sometimes. That's alignment. Alignment is not about certainty. Alignment with the moment and your higher self is being okay with the uncertainty of life. Now, that's all I have for this video. Once again, if you want to work with me one-on-one to find clarity in your life purpose and what it is that you really want to be doing on this planet at this time, hit the link that's in the description box of this video to apply for a free consultation. As always, have yourself a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.